Alrighty guys, and welcome back to another Lego tutorial video from BrickByBrick. And today, I'm going to build a Milano. And it's going to be similar to this polybag build. However, what I decided to do was take the orange color scheme, and these are the parts that were used on the actual thing. I decided to replace these orange pieces with the bright light orange color used on the 2014 Milano, just to see what it would look like, and then I decided I might as well modify the entire thing so that it looks as close to the original 2014 Milano set as I can get it. And I think that I got relatively decent results, so I took it all apart and I'm going to show you guys how to put it back together. So most of the pieces are going to come from the original set, or original polybag. All of these over here come from the original polybag, but in addition you're going to need one of these 1x2 brackets, one of these jumper plates in gray, and then one of these 1x1 round ties. You could use a stud as well, it doesn't really change the look that much. And I decided to take this cockpit piece and replace it with a translucent blue one, so that's different. And then we got two of these slopes in this bright light orange color, two 1x2, or two 2x2 I mean, plates, or you could use 2x, or just one 2x4, because they're going to go like that. Either way works. And then four of these 1x2 tiles, and two 1x1s in the bright light orange color. So, we're going to start the build similarly to how the original polybag is done, and that includes this back here as well. But instead of putting a 1x2 plate there, we're going to put this bracket, and this is going to act as the engine. And I just realized that this is an old light gray, so pardon the appearance, but I don't know if it even shows up on camera, but that is the old version of gray, so it's slightly different color there. But you know, after we do that, we're going to use the gray version, not the blue version of that piece, and try to not break what we just did. And there we go. Now that we're on track, we can continue to the next step, which I apparently had tried to skip to earlier. So just continuing with the build of the Milano polybag, and it will keep looking rather similar. The basic frame does not change much at all. There's a piece of hair or something on that brick. It's unacceptable, even though it's going to be hidden, so actually it's relatively acceptable. I'm still not sure what this on the inside of the Milano flaps is supposed to represent, but I left it because, you know, it's not like visible or anything. But you just cover all this up for the most part with some blue wedge plates, just making a decent shape for the whole thing. I think that overall, just the design of this polybag was really effective at actually, you know, looking like the Milano. And that's back to pretty much what the instructions of the original tell you to create. This, I'm just going to mention that I did consider moving this back a stud, but I feel like that increases the length. You will notice on the actual set that the engine is underneath the flap still, but I just think that that makes the whole front of the ship look a little bit too long. So it is kind of a little bit of a compromise, but I think that it still is effective and works decently. But this is where we start to change things up a little more, because we change out the color schemes of the 2x6 plate that you can see right there. And I used tiles for the outer two studs, just because I feel like that gives it a smoother look when it's all put together, and when it's all said and done. But the inner 2x4 has to remain plates because you need to connect to those two pieces, as well as these two pieces, which are the two big orange. That's where it gets most of its color scheme from. And I'm not sure what this dot is supposed to be like in universe, in the actual ship, but it does kind of appear. I think it's greener than this, but this isn't a bad color, and I don't think that changing it from this newer version really does too much to the look. So I figured I would leave that one as well. But yeah, you can see if we just leave this all like it is, then it does look recognizable. This is where I changed the windscreen. If you look at the 2014 version of the set, you will notice that it is definitely a transparent light blue canopy. So instead of using the trans clear, I figured switching out the color would make it look more similar to the older version. And these engines in the back, I actually didn't know what they were supposed to be when I built the original polybag, you might remember, if you watched that video. But they are actually on the newer version. I think they should probably be all light gray, but I didn't have any of these round pieces in light gray, so I figured leaving them wouldn't hurt too much. And they are, in the views that I have seen of it, more like this at this angle, and I feel like adding this, jumper plate kind of gets them to a good spot where they stay and look good. So I figured that that would be a decent way to go about it. And again, probably would change that over to light gray instead of dark gray, but part limitations. The only downside is now it doesn't stand perfectly flat, but it does still have that contact point on the back, so it works. And these wing tips are pretty much as good as you can get them in this scale, in the current, like the actual design of this polybag. I could not come up with a better solution, so I didn't try too much, because I figured that these do look really nifty. They just work. So there's no point in trying to make it use the wrong parts. No, there's no point in trying to make it look too impressive and super hyper accurate when it does look recognizable and uses a small amount of parts for the wings as well. So I think that made some good compromises there in the actual design. You'll notice that I'm kind of rambling because it does take a little long to assemble these on there, and it definitely takes a while to drop parts and pick them up. But there. That is the last wingtip, and you can see it's starting to look like a Milano. And here is where it gets a little bit more interesting, and this is probably the biggest change that I made to the actual set in terms of outward appearance, because this does a good job of taking the making it kind of stand out. I think that this color pops a little bit more than the orange did. And just for me personally, because it is that much lighter, I did change over to tiles just because I feel like the tiles look a whole lot smoother and sleeker. But yeah, there we go. That is my mini Milano of the 2014 version. I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial how to build it. Obviously, it doesn't take too long and doesn't take too many parts. If you have the old, or if you have the Milano. And honestly, I might try and pick up another one of these little poly bags if I see them at Toys R Us, so that I can have both versions. Just because I think that it looks kind of cool. I actually kind of like this color scheme a little bit better, even though the orange is more accurate, definitely. But this bright light orange with from the concept art, I think looks really cool, and definitely think that this was a worthwhile, building experience, and now it's up there, so you guys can try it out yourself. I don't know how many people have done this before. I didn't look into it at all. I just figured, might be something cool to do. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like down below. And if you build this yourself, it'd be cool if you guys let me know in the comment section below. Because I'd like to see how many people actually prefer this over the other one, or vice versa. I'd like to see which version of the Milano do you prefer. And I would ask that in a review of one of the Milanos, but I don't have either of them. So this is the best I've got. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you guys all next